Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Newshour, India's voice to the world. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Coming up in the next hour. US lawmakers introduce a resolution to end President Trump's 50% tariffs on India. President Trump's special envoy and son-in-law to meet Ukraine's President Zelenskyy and Ukraine peace talks gain momentum. Tensions flare between Thailand and Cambodia as Bangkok vows to continue military action despite Trump's ceasefire claims. India remembers the Bravehearts of 2001 Parliament attack. Prime Minister Modi along with other parliamentarians pay homage. US lawmakers Deborah Ross, Mark Vesey and Raja Krishnamurthy introduced a resolution to terminate President Donald Trump's national emergency, authorizing tariffs of up to 50% on imports from India, helping to restore Congress's constitutional authority over trade. The resolution follows a bipartisan Senate-passed measure to end Trump's Brazil tariffs and rein in his abuse of emergency powers to raise duties on imports. Representatives have been leading voices in Congress opposing Trump's tariff agenda and calling for a reset of US-India relations. In October, they partnered with Congressman Ro Khanna and 19 members of Congress in urging President Trump to repair America's strained relationship with India and reverse his harmful tariff policies. Ending Trump's India tariffs is part of a broader effort by congressional Democrats to reclaim Congress's constitutional authority over trade and to stop the president from using emergency powers to unilaterally impose his misguided trade policies. All right, and joining us on the broadcast today is Ambassador Pinak Ranjan Chakravarti, former Secretary MEA. A very warm welcome to DD India Newshour, sir. First thing I would like to ask you is that how do you assess India-US ties?
There are obviously strains in the ties because of what Trump has been doing in terms of tariff, reckless kind of tariff imposition unilaterally. So I think the situation is not as good as it should be. But let us also look at it from another point of view, that not all is bad, in the sense that there are other areas like energy, defense, etc., where we are doing business and we continue to do so. But then I don't think that what Trump is doing is adding any value to the bilateral ties. In fact, he is undercutting bilateral ties. By, for example, the H-1B visa, tightening of visa rules. It is, of course, their sovereign right to do so. But I think these are all, kind of putting up kind of blocks to various, ongoing and what we have got, that the digital, for example, the cyber areas, etc., where these people went and worked there. Indian students are no longer, I think, willing to go to the US. It's gone down. Ultimately, it will hurt both countries because universities, take the tariffs, for example. I think it is hurting every American household to the extent of, I don't know, somebody calculated about $1,200 a month. Although here Trump has claimed that that there is a great inflow of revenue into the national treasury, which may be correct. But what are you going to do with that? It might help the GDP, the debt to GDP ratio, etc. But I think consumers are being affected very badly, and I think this is also going to hit, further prospects of the Republican Party in elections that, by-elections and midterm elections that are going to happen. And, the pushback has begun in some ways or the other, that this kind of erratic policies that has, suddenly sort of emerged from Trump 2.0 is having an impact not just on India, but across the world.
Definitely. Ambassador Chakravarti, you just mentioned that the Indian students are now reluctant to go to the United States. What do you see the reason behind this? Is it the policies that you were just mentioning or the new H-1B visa rules? What do you see?
No, students don't go on H-1B. Students go on other visas.
Yeah.
But they are making it so restrictive, and they are also curtailing some of the things that that students enjoyed earlier. Like, after you finish your graduation, you have a year or two, I think, to find a job, etc. Now he's saying, as soon as you finish your graduation, you have to leave. And so I think that those prospects of, finding employment, etc., has been curtailed. And that, of course, is deterring Indian students from going there. So they are shifting to other countries. It's not that they don't have a choice, but the US was always an attractive place for higher education, which many Indians wanted to go and get their higher degrees, because the US does have a reputation of good universities and other higher institutes of higher learning. Now, that is another problem that Indian students are facing. But then I believe that they are now switching to other countries. And so I think ultimately the universities which took in these students, they will be the ultimate losers.
Indeed. And Ambassador, now with 3 US lawmakers, Deborah Ross, Mark Vesey and Raja Krishnamurthy introducing a resolution to end President Trump's national emergency to impose tariffs up to 50% on India. What do you make of this situation and how the lawmakers are perceiving it in the United States?
Well, I think in the US Congress, both the House of Representatives and the Senate, there are now, these kind of issues being raised. And in fact, the US Congress has even challenged President Trump that he has no legal authority to impose these sanctions, these higher tariffs. So I think these are being challenged now. And this is one of the moves to challenge that thing, because President Trump has used an Emergency Powers Act to do all this, which the Congress feels that they have been bypassed, they should have been consulted, and that President Trump has no unilateral right to impose these tariffs. Anyway, that is a debate in their internal system about their laws, etc. But I think this momentum is going to gather support, and perhaps this will create some problems. And if the Congress as a whole, can vote against some of these issues and tariffs, then the president would have to then deal with that. Because how does he deal with it? He can then, of course, he has to override the Congress. There are provisions to do that, but then he gets into a more political, battleground kind of place.
Definitely. When I was, Ambassador Chakravarti, when I was mentioning the H-1B visa, I was not mentioning it in terms of the Indian students, but I was just saying you mentioned H-1B visa. The Trump administration in regards to the H-1B visa is actually facing a hard time, as 20 states have now sued Trump administration over H-1B visa. What do you have to say on that? How do you react?
It's all very well to say that, that jobs in America should only go to Americans. That is their sort of slogan. But the fact is that you need certain kind of people with certain skills to do certain jobs. And the American companies have found that people from India do have those qualifications. So they naturally rely on them to go on H-1B visa to do things. But then now Trump is curtailing the rights of the families, rights of the children. And so, no person with a family would then like to go to the US. They will look for other options.
Indeed.
So these are some of the problems he has created. And this has soured the bilateral ties to a large extent.
And of course, these policies are also not going well with the Americans as well. Do you agree?
Yes, indeed. The companies are not happy because they can't find people to take on these jobs. And in any case, the higher tariffs are being passed on to the consumer because it's the American companies who are paying the tariffs. because this tariff is an import tariff. In other words, it's the customs duty, so which the importer has to pay. And how does the importer recover this additional cost? The importer passes on to the consumer. That is what is happening now. And I think consumers all over the country in the US are now complaining that they will have to spend for day-to-day, essentials, food, etc., far more money than they used to. Now, Trump is trying to say, oh, I will give you some, checks for, because I have got money in my treasury, I will give you some doles or checks, as he said, to sort of offset the higher cost. So this is unnecessarily complicating the economy and creating problems for ordinary Americans.
Right. Ambassador, a few days back, Prime Minister Narendra Modi held a phone call with the US President and described the conversation as very warm and engaging. What do you make of it as far as the relations between both the countries are concerned and the tariff that has been imposed on India by the United States?
Well, at that level, they don't go into details. They talk about generalities. They talk about good relations. They talk about solving the problems, etc. So I think in that sense, I think they must have talked about broadly that, we want to carry forward our relations, that we want to make progress. I mean, the trade deal, for example, there have been some progress, we have heard, and maybe we'll get a deal soon. There are issues on which India has decided that it will not give any concession, particularly the agricultural sector. So I think these may be some of the issues that I doubt if they get into any specifics, but basically they must have talked about, okay, look, we must so cooperate with each other to do various stuff. Because after all, we have a strategic partnership with the USA. And we need to work on it too. So that is what is happening at the moment, and at the top level also, I think. Prime Minister Modi and President Trump must be saying these things to each other, and maybe after that they will give instructions for the negotiators on these various deals.
All right, with this, thank you so much, sir, for joining in on DD India Newshour. Thailand on Saturday vowed to continue military action against Cambodia despite earlier claims by US President Donald Trump that he had brokered a ceasefire between the two nations. In a social media post, Thai Prime Minister Anutin Charnvirakul said a landmine blast that killed Thai soldiers was definitely not a roadside accident. Since Monday, Cambodia and Thailand have been firing rockets and artillery at multiple points along their disputed border. Meanwhile, Cambodia said on Saturday that Thailand continued dropping bombs in its territory hours after US President Donald Trump said the neighbors had agreed to stop fighting. Earlier, in a social media post, Trump said Thailand and Cambodia have agreed to cease all shooting effective Friday. Trump claimed after calls with the country's leaders to try to salvage a ceasefire he brokered earlier this year after a fifth day of fighting. While during a bill signing ceremony at White House, Trump hailed the progress made in Thailand and Cambodia and said that he thinks he just did a very good job with Thailand and Cambodia.
Thailand and Cambodia, we had them stopped, and I've been saying I stopped 8 wars, but they started shooting at each other 2 days ago. It wasn't good. And we got it, I think, straightened out today. So Thailand and Cambodia is in good shape. So we get a lot done. 8 wars, nobody's ever stopped 8 wars. We have 1 more to go. The easiest one, I thought, would be a country that you're somewhat familiar with, Russia and Ukraine. But a lot of progress is being made even there.
All right, indeed, India's Akhilesh Suman joins us for more on Thailand-Cambodia conflict. Hi, Akhilesh. Thousands evacuated from both sides of the border. Many injured and tensions are still on the rise between Thailand and Cambodia, with Bangkok saying they will continue military action. Why there is no peace in the region, especially in the border region, despite US intervention?
Actually, this is a historical situation.
Yeah.
Cambodia and Thailand both share, the same religion. and there's a temple called, Bravehearts, and that is actually a Shiva temple. And Shiva temple both used to claim that it is ours. But
Okay.
International Court of Justice decided that no, it belongs to Cambodia.
Right.
So now it is in Cambodians, territory. Cambodia holds it. But the problem is that in Cambodia, as Cambodians say, that we have old landmines on the border between Thailand and Cambodia, and these landmines are age old, like Khmer Rouge times when he used to put landmines, and these landmines had not been removed till now. And these landmines sometimes blast and it harms the Thailand people and Thailand soldiers specifically.
Right.
So it had happened, in December, early December, 7 to 8 December actually, some, landmine exploded and, Thai, soldiers were killed in that. And that enraged Thailand again, that yes, Cambodia has not gone, has not been doing what they have committed, that there should be peace in the border. So that is why Thailand started, again attacking Cambodia. So this is the reason that somehow or other, Donald Trump, though brokered peace between the two nations, but he did not put enough monitoring mechanism between the two. Though Malaysian Prime Minister is there, who is mediating and who is responsible for, monitoring the situation, but I think that is not enough. There should be a strong mechanism to monitor the peace deal between the two. And because of the absence of such a monitoring mechanism, these things are happening, that Thais are complaining against Cambodians, and Cambodians are telling that we are not doing this anything. So these are the issues that has to be resolved in coming days,
Definitely. This has to be resolved at the earliest, in fact, Akhilesh. But what is the reaction coming from Cambodia? Any reaction? Any update on that?
Actually, Cambodians are telling that, after talking to President Donald Trump, Donald Trump actually called Cambodian Prime Minister and also Thai Prime Minister.
Right.
And Cambodians are telling that, we are ready for the ceasefire. We are not attacking back Thailand. But Thailand is doing this. So Cambodians are telling that we are ready for any peace talk that is undergoing under the mediation of Donald Trump. So they are ready for peace. And they are telling that Thailand is not adhering to the peace deal. So that is why they are demanding that much more mediation should be done from the American side, so that Thailand should be stopped from attacking Cambodia.
Definitely, this situation is developing, Akhilesh. We'll keep taking updates from you, but as of now, we leave it there. Thank you so much. And still to come on DD India Newshour.
Thank you.
California and 19 US states sue the Trump administration. US Treasury Department has lifted sanctions on Brazil Supreme Court Justice Alexandre de Moraes. Hollywood honors its real-life heroes as the Los Angeles Fire Department receives an award of excellence on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Green technology can really help protect our planet if it doesn't harm our communities in the process.
The solar panels of all the 5 sets cumulative is around 80 kilowatt. So per year there is a saving of around 1 lakh units.
As long as you have high concentrations versus low, then you can sort of harvest energy this way.
Each village has its own unique problems. We need to develop a scientifically sound, yet simple model that local people can understand and implement.
Work outdoors where environmental conditions constantly change. Some weeds are larger, some smaller with different leaf shapes. With AI, many of them can be learned and controlled much more easily. That's why AI is a small revolution in this field.
You're watching DD India Newshour. I am Siddharth Bharadwaj. US envoy Steve Witkoff and President Donald Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner will meet Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy and European leaders in Berlin this weekend. According to the White House official, Witkoff will also meet with his counterparts from France, Britain and Germany on Sunday and Monday. French President Emmanuel Macron, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer and German Chancellor Friedrich Merz were also expected to attend. Officials added. In fact, Trump has been stepping up pressure on Kyiv to reach an agreement since revealing a peace plan last month. The 28-point proposal has triggered a flurry of diplomacy between the United States and Ukraine's European allies, with Kyiv officials recently saying they had sent Washington an updated plan. California and 19 U.S. states have sued the Trump administration over its unlawful decision to impose a $100,000 fee on new H-1B visa petitions. California Attorney General Rob Bonta is leading the 20-state coalition lawsuit, calling the policy unlawful and warning it could disrupt sectors that rely on skilled foreign workers. Bonta's office said the fee would place significant strain on schools, universities and hospitals that depend on H-1B employees. The states joining California in the lawsuit include New York, Massachusetts, Illinois, New Jersey and Washington. In September, U.S. President Donald Trump announced that his administration would levy a one-time $100,000 fee on all new H-1B applications, which the attorneys general described as sudden and massive increase over existing charges. U.S. President Donald Trump dismissed the release of new photos showing him alongside Jeffrey Epstein, saying the images were no big deal.
I haven't seen it, but I mean, everybody knew this man. He was all over Palm Beach. He has photos with everybody. I mean, almost, there are hundreds and hundreds of people that have photos with him. So that's no big deal. I know nothing about it.
Democrats on a congressional oversight panel released more than a dozen new images from the estate of the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein on Friday, including photos of now President Trump. Trump is featured in 3 of the 19 photos shared by House Oversight Committee Democrats, who said they are reviewing more than 95,000 images produced by the estate. Former President Bill Clinton, former Trump aide Steve Bannon, Bill Gates, and former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers also appear in the batch of images. The committee is continuing to obtain and release documents, even as the U.S. Department of Justice is expected to publicize unclassified Epstein files from its federal investigation late next week. The United States and Mexico reached an agreement on water sharing on Friday after President Donald Trump threatened new sanctions. The U.S. Department of Agriculture agency said in a statement that the U.S. and Mexico reached an understanding to meet the current water obligations of American farmers and ranchers. The statement said the agreement includes both the current water cycle and the deficit from the previous cycle. The two countries are expected to finalize the plan at the end of January. The agreement, as it stands, would have Mexico releasing 202,000 acre-feet of water starting next week. Trump earlier said Mexico owed 800,000 acre-feet of water to the U.S. and demanded it release a quarter of this amount by December 31st or be hit with a new 5% tariff. The U.S. seizure of an oil tanker off the Venezuelan coast looks designed to further squeeze the economy of President Nicolas Maduro's country. The seizure had little impact on global oil prices because of exiting oversupply and due to the fact that Venezuela makes up only around 1% of the overall market. Venezuelan oil is already sold at a discount on the black market because of the existing risk relating to the sanctions. This latest action is likely to widen these discounts even further. Besides discounts, export volumes could also be affected, and that in turn would lead to production cuts, which are costly to reverse. In addition, Venezuela has until now required companies to pay some of the payment for oil cargo upfront, and a lot will be unwilling to do so now due to high costs involved in a U.S. seizure. U.S. President Donald Trump has again threatened to launch ground operations in Venezuela. His administration is also imposing new sanctions targeting vessels and shipping companies linked to Venezuela's oil sector, as well as relatives of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. Speaking at the White House during an Oval Office event, Trump said the United States was now stopping 96% of drugs coming in by water and warned that people that are bringing in drugs to our country are targets. On Thursday, Trump had given a similar message, saying drug traffic by sea was down 92% compared with the 96% figure he cited on Friday.
We are knocking out drugs at levels that nobody's ever seen before. We knocked out 96% of the drugs coming in by water. And nobody can figure out who the 4%. I wouldn't want to be the 4% either, but 96% of the drugs coming in by water. Every one of those boats you see get shot down, you just saved 25,000 American lives. But we knocked out 96% of the drugs coming in by water. And now we're starting by land, and by land is a lot easier. And that's going to start happening. And we're not going to have people destroying our youth, destroying our families. Thinking about youth, everybody.
Former Bolivian President Luis Arce Catacora entered the San Pedro prison on Friday after a judge ordered him held in pre-trial detention for 5 months as part of an investigation into alleged embezzlement. Arce, who left office last month, will likely be tried for alleged economic misconduct while serving as economy minister under ex-leader Evo Morales. A hearing has been scheduled for May 12, 2026. The investigation into Arce focuses on alleged irregular disbursements from a fund known as the Indigenous Fund, intended to finance projects for indigenous communities. Arce was detained by police on Wednesday and has denied any wrongdoing. The judge said that during his pre-trial detention, Arce will be held separately from those serving their sentences in La Paz prison and will be able to request to leave for health reasons when necessary. The U.S. Treasury Department has lifted sanctions on Brazil Supreme Court Justice Alexandre de Moraes, who oversaw a trial of his country's jailed former President Jair Bolsonaro. The sanctions lifted on Friday were part of a series of punitive actions taken against Brazil by the Trump administration, a longtime ally of Bolsonaro, who had slammed the trial as a witch hunt. Moraes was sanctioned in July, and Washington took aim at his wife Viviane Barci de Moraes a few months later. The sanctions against the couple and a company linked to their family were eased after efforts to repair diplomatic ties between Brazil and the United States in recent days. Moraes has meanwhile welcomed the lifting of the sanctions and said truth prevailed. After months of animosity, Trump and Brazil's President Lula da Silva held their first official meeting in October, leading to a flurry of negotiations between diplomats. As ties improved, the Trump administration last month exempted key Brazilian exports from a 40% tariff that had been imposed over the trial. Bolsonaro began serving a 27-year jail term in November after his conviction for a scheme to stop Lula from taking office after 2022 elections. The United Nations will appraise its policies on refugees next week due to an increase in armed conflict, the politicization of asylum law, and cuts to international aid. At a Global Refugee Forum review meeting from Monday to Wednesday, governments, civil society, the private sector and the academics will jointly assess progress over the last few years and put forward new solutions. The number of people who have been forcibly displaced globally has nearly doubled over the past 10 years to 117.3 million, while international relief funding has decreased partly due to Donald Trump's return to the White House. Let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. The Jaguari Dam, located about 120 kilometers from the city of Sao Paulo, is facing severe drought and is operating at only 17.6% of its capacity. It's the most important reservoir in the region. The dam is responsible for supplying water to 9 million people in the metropolitan region. Hollywood honored its real-life heroes as the Los Angeles Fire Department received an award of excellence on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. The event was organized after an 8th grader's school assignment letter sparked debate how real-life heroes should be rewarded like the Hollywood stars. The student's name is Eniola Taivo. She told the crowd she never imagined her words would reach across the country. And still to come on the India Newshour. Deportation proceedings started against owners of Goa nightclub. And we'll tell you about the weather updates from parts of India. Also, 491 cadets have been commissioned as officers into the Indian Army after 157th passing out parade of the Indian Military Academy.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy, always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
You're watching DD India Newshour. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj, and a quick recap of headlines. US lawmakers introduce a resolution to end President Trump's 50% tariffs on India. President Trump's special envoy and son-in-law to meet Ukraine's President Zelenskyy as Ukraine peace talks gain momentum. Tensions flare between Thailand and Cambodia as Bangkok vows to continue military action despite Trump's ceasefire claims. India remembers the Bravehearts of 2001 Parliament attack. Prime Minister Modi along with other parliamentarians pay homage. Nation salutes the courageous heroes who laid down their lives while protecting our parliament on this day in 2001. Prime Minister Narendra Modi along with other parliamentarians paid their tributes to the Bravehearts at the Parliament House in the national capital. Taking to social media, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said, in the face of grave danger, their courage, alertness and unwavering sense of duty were remarkable. India will forever remain grateful for their supreme sacrifice. President Draupadi Murmu on Saturday paid tribute to the security personnel who laid down their lives while protecting Parliament during the 2001 terror attack, saying the nation remains in debt to them and their families. In a post shared on social media platform X, President Murmu said, and I quote her, "Their valor and devotion to duty continue to guide our national spirit. The country remains indebted to them and their families. On this day, we reaffirm India's commitment to fight terrorism in all its forms." Unquote. December 13, 2001. Remains a day etched in India's memory when terrorists attacked the parliament, targeting the temple of our democracy. Brave security personnel, including CRPF Constable Kamlesh Kumari, laid down their lives to protect the nation. 9 heroes sacrificed everything so that our democracy could survive and our voices could be heard. Their courage and martyrdom continue to inspire the country today. Here's a report.
Some dates, they are not just dates. They are a reminder of cowardly acts which tried to throttle our democracy. A reminder of how our brave hearts stood between terror and our great nation. December 13, 2001 is one such date when terrorists of the Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed stormed the Parliament complex and fired indiscriminately. It was a direct attack on the temple of democracy. At about 11:40 a.m. in an ambassador car bearing registration number DL3CJ 1527, 5 Pakistani terrorists entered the Parliament House complex. They moved towards building gate number 12 when they encountered the carcade of the Vice President of India, which was parked at gate number 11. One of the members of the Parliament House watch and ward staff, Jagdish Prasad Yadav, became suspicious about the identity of the car and immediately ran after it. The car had no option but to turn backwards. But in the process, it hit the Vice President's car. Immediately, the terrorists then started firing. On-duty personnel of CRPF, ITBP and Delhi police took their positions and returned the fire. In some time, the brave security personnel gunned down all the terrorists. CRPF Constable Kamlesh Kumari was the first to sound the alarm, taking a volley of fire, buying crucial minutes. She kept tracking the terrorists and informing about their movements in the Parliament House complex. Her bravery was instrumental in quickly putting down the terrorists' game plan. but unfortunately, she fell to the barrage of bullets pumped into her and became a martyr. A total of 9 people lost their lives defending the complex, including 5 Delhi police personnel, 2 Parliament Security Service personnel, and a gardener. While the terrorists' bodies lay lifeless on the ground, the Indian tricolour still flew high, thanks to the supreme sacrifice of our 9 Bravehearts. As the temple of democracy stands tall and strong, we must never forget their martyrdom. They sacrificed their lives so that our voice, our vote, and our freedom could live on.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be on a 3-nation visit to Jordan, Ethiopia and Oman from 15th to 18th of December. Ahead of Prime Minister's visit to Jordan, DD India's Tapas Bhattacharya spoke with Ambassador of Jordan to India, Yusuf Abdul Ghani. The ambassador said that Jordan looks India as a big brother in the region, and PM Modi's visit will further strengthen the diplomatic ties between the 2 nations.
Joining me is Jordan's ambassador to India, His Excellency Yusuf Abdul Ghani. Sir, India-Jordan relationship goes long way. Jordan can be considered a cradle of civilization. How do you see both the countries going forward?
Well, as a matter of fact, this year marks the 75th anniversary of establishing diplomatic ties between Jordan and India. And our relation is built on mutual respect, silent friendship, and shared values. And I see our relation is going in steady pace, and I think that we have lots of things to accomplish in the future.
What are the key areas where do you think both countries can work together and especially going forward in the next decade?
We have lots of Indian investments in Jordan, and as you know that Jordan is a major primary exporter of potash, phosphate, fertilizers, phosphoric acid to India. So Jordan is helping Indian farmers and supporting India's food security and food industry. And also we have lots of Indian investments in garments, textile, more than 25 factories owned by Indian investors. And India is the 4th largest trade partner to Jordan. So we are thinking now of exploring new venues of cooperation.
How do you see India-Jordan relationship vis-a-vis the defense and security aspect as well?
Yeah, you know that in 2018, His Majesty visited India here, and we signed several memorandum of understanding in military cooperation, military industry, cybersecurity. So we are looking for also these venues of cooperation with India.
How do you see Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership in taking India-Jordan relationship forward? We have to see in the perspective of, let's say, the next decade. How do you see those relationships going forward, sir?
Now Jordan is welcoming Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi to our country as honor guest to His Majesty. They enjoy very strong, solid friendship, and to Jordanians. And we look upon India as a big brother in the region, and we also enjoyed very strong relations with India in terms of people-to-people connectivity, in terms of cultural activities. We exchange always views, delegations, and I think that the visit of Prime Minister now is very important because it comes in a strategic time where in our cooperation that we want to move this cooperation to new strategic level.
That was Jordan's ambassador to India stating that the Prime Minister's visit is expected to be a watershed moment in both countries' relationship. With camera person Jaishankar, this is Tapush Bhattacharya for DD India from Delhi.
India and Jordan share a partnership rooted in trust, history and shared aspirations. Beyond strong diplomatic ties, the 2 nations also enjoy a deep cultural connection. During Prime Minister Narendra Modi's upcoming visit to Jordan, a key highlight will be his trip to Petra, the country's iconic UNESCO World Heritage Site and a symbol of Jordan's rich civilizational legacy. DD India's Tapas Bhattacharya brings us this report.
Amidst the rugged mountains of southern Jordan lies Petra, the legendary rose-red city. Sculpted from the towering sandstone walls, it remains one of humanity's most extraordinary creations. More than 2,000 years ago, Petra was the thriving capital of Nabatean kingdom, a major center of trade, culture and innovation, where ancient caravans from Arabia, India, Egypt and Mediterranean converged. Carved into rose-red sandstone over 2,000 years ago, Petra stands as one of the greatest archaeological treasures of humanity. What makes Petra extraordinary is the architecture. The entire monument carved directly into sandstone cliffs, from elaborate tombs to grand temples and the iconic treasury just behind my back. This desert city was not just visually stunning, it was scientifically advanced. The Nabateans engineered a sophisticated network of water channels and reservoirs that transformed a harsh landscape into a flourishing urban hub. Recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, Petra today stands as a symbol of human genius, endurance and cross-cultural exchange, a testament to the civilization that shaped this region. And soon, Petra will welcome a special visitor. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will walk through these ancient pathways during his visit to Jordan, paying tribute to one of the world's most extraordinary heritage sites and deepening Indo-Jordan cultural ties. With camera Jai Shankar and Ashish, this is Taposh Bhattacharya signing off from Petra.
On Goa fire tragedy now, deportation proceedings have begun against Saurabh and Gaurav Luthra, owners of the ill-fated Goa nightclub, with Thai authorities coordinating with Indian law enforcement for their return. Both Luthra brothers are currently being held at a detention center in Bangkok after being moved from Phuket, where they were detained following India's move to suspend their passports in connection with the fire in Arpora. Thai officials are processing the case under local law, including steps for their deportation to India. Local police say the detention followed a request from Indian law enforcement. According to Thai authorities, an Indian law enforcement team is also coordinating formalities for Luthra brothers in return. This is possible due to an extradition treaty between two countries that is in force since 2015. 25 people, including tourists, were killed after the fire broke out, while more than 50 others were injured. Goa Chief Minister Pramod Sawant reiterated that strict action would be taken against the accused, saying the state government remains committed to securing justice for those who lost their lives in the tragedy. A retired Indian Air Force personnel has been arrested in Assam's Sonitpur district for alleged links with Pakistani intelligence operatives, police said on Saturday. The arrest was made following a police operation based on confidential intelligence inputs. The accused, identified as Kulendra Sharma, was apprehended from Patia Chuburi under the jurisdiction of Tezpur Sadar Police Station. Sonitpur Superintendent of Police Barun Purkayastha stated that Sharma had allegedly shared sensitive and important documents related to national security on social media platforms. Police seized a laptop and a mobile phone from Sharma during the operation. Meanwhile, Sonitpur District Additional Superintendent of Police Hari Charan Bhumji said that the seized electronic devices will be sent to the Forensic Science Laboratory for further examination and retrieval of additional evidence. Severe cold wave has tightened its hold over India, with minimum temperatures dropping below 8 degrees Celsius across Delhi and dense fog blanketing portions of the northern plains. On Friday morning, India woke up to dense fog covering major parts of Himachal Pradesh, Punjab, Haryana, Delhi, Uttar Pradesh and northeast India. Dense fog is also likely to prevail during morning hours in isolated pockets of Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram and Tripura from 14th to 18th of December. Southern and central parts of India are likely to experience cold wave conditions at isolated places in Chhattisgarh, Odisha, Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka from Sunday to Monday. Light rainfall and snowfall is expected in Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand. Meanwhile, snowfall is expected in Jammu and Kashmir from 13th to 18th of December. Anti-pollution curbs under GRAP 3 have been enforced in Delhi on Saturday. During the winter season, Delhi and the surrounding National Capital Region enforced restrictions under the Graded Response Action Plan Curbs under GRAP 3 include a ban on non-essential construction, demolition and mining activities. The measures also prohibit the entry of older diesel goods vehicles into Delhi, while schools up to class 5th shift to a hybrid mode of classes across the Delhi NCR. 491 cadets were commissioned as officers into the Indian Army following the 157th passing out parade of the Indian Military Academy in Dehradun on Saturday. The ceremony included the traditional Antim Pag, symbolizing the cadets' transition from trainees to commissioned officers in the Indian Armed Forces. The training is designed to develop the intellectual, moral and physical qualities required for leadership in the Indian Army. A total of 525 officer cadets were part of the passing out parade, 491 Indian cadets and 34 foreign cadets from 14 friendly countries. Chief of Army Staff General Upendra Dwivedi reviewed the parade and congratulated the newly commissioned officers. He urged the young officers to uphold the glorious traditions of the Indian Army while serving the nation with loyalty, commitment and honor. Meanwhile, a combined graduation parade was conducted to mark the successful completion of the pre-commissioning training of the cadets of various branches of the Indian Air Force at the Air Force Academy in Hyderabad. Chief of Defence Staff General Anil Chauhan reviewed officers at the graduation ceremony and awarded the President's plaque and the Navananga Sword of Honour to cadets who stood first overall in the order of merit. And still to come on DD India Newshour. Messi fever grips City of Joy. Lionel Messi unveils his 7-feet statue in Kolkata amidst ecstatic fans. Libya's National Museum reopens. Stay with us. We'll tell you more about it.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Johar. Johar. It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout ho gaya.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
You're watching DD India Newshour. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj and time now for some sports news. Football legend Lionel Messi arrived at the Salt Lake Stadium in Kolkata to kickstart his 3-day India tour in style. Messi, along with Luis Suarez and Rodrigo de Paul, received a grand welcome at the jam-packed stadium. Messi took a lap around the stadium as he waved to thousands of fans who've turned up wearing his Argentina jersey. The noise at the venue soared high as the global football icon made his much-anticipated return to India after 14 years. He is set to attend a felicitation ceremony before departing for Hyderabad. On Sunday, he will arrive in Mumbai before ending the highly anticipated tour in Delhi on Monday. Football icon Lionel Messi virtually unveiled his 70-foot statue from Salt Lake Stadium with Bollywood actor Shah Rukh Khan present at the event. Kolkata witnessed the football and entertainment extravaganza as Messi and Shah Rukh Khan met each other in the City of Joy. The Sri Bhumi Sporting Club in Lake Town unveiled a towering 70-foot iron statue of Messi depicting him holding the World Cup trophy. With football fans and dignitaries all coming together, Kolkata transformed into a hub of celebration, marking a historic moment for sports and entertainment lovers in the city. Spanish tennis legend Rafael Nadal has undergone surgery to treat pain and gain mobility in his right hand. The surgery was aimed at relieving pain and restoring mobility of the joint at the base of his right thumb. The 39-year-old Nadal retired from tennis in November 2024, finally abandoning hope that he could prolong his immensely successful career after playing through various injuries. In May, Nadal said at a ceremony to celebrate his record 14 French Open titles in Paris that he hadn't touched a racket in the 6 months following his last professional match, a loss with Spain at the Davis Cup 13 months ago. Liverpool forward Mohamed Salah is in the squad for Saturday's Premier League match against Brighton after positive talks with head coach Arne Slot on Friday. It is understood the decision was made with Slot wanting to act in the best interests of the club, particularly with a number of players out through injury. Issues still remain unresolved and those will continue to be tackled by Liverpool and Salah's agent Rami Abbas while the player is at the Africa Cup of Nations. Salah was left out of the travelling squad for Liverpool's Champions League trip to Inter Milan on Tuesday after claiming his relationship with Slot had broken down and that he had been thrown under the bus. Lando Norris laid hands on the Formula One Winners' Trophy in Tashkent at the FIA Awards ceremony. Outgoing champion Max Verstappen, who did not attend the prize-giving gala due to sickness, sent a congratulatory message. Norris clinched the title in the final race in Abu Dhabi last Sunday. Max Verstappen by 2 points in the 24-round season with McLaren teammate Oscar Piastri third overall. The 26-year-old is the 35th Formula One champion since the first in 1950 and 11th Brighton to win the crown. Libya's National Museum reopened in Tripoli after being closed for more than a decade, giving the public the chance to view some of the country's most remarkable historical treasures for the first time since the revolution that toppled Muammar Gaddafi. That's all for this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.